Great, my name is Colin Smith and I want to introduce you to a company called Salustra. Just to give you a short background to myself, I've been a therapist, a holistic therapist or alternative therapist for nearly 28 years. And it started back because I cycled, and we saw the benefit of, say, having a massage after a race, especially when you were racing a couple of days. It was brilliant. It loosened up the muscles, it got rid of toxins like lactic acid, uric acid, ammonia out of the system. And from that then I decided that I would do a massage course. I was about 19 at that stage, and I really just wanted to do it as a hobby. When I started the course, I wasn't particularly good at it. It was all fingers and thumbs. It took me ages to get used to relaxing my hands. But I practiced and practiced, neighbours, relations, everybody got pulled in to get a massage, so I would get more confident and more at ease with it. From that, I started to work then as a therapist, and it was quite different, because when I was in the world of like cycling, you were very focused on your health, because you want that little bit of edge or more energy, or to be able to push yourself that little bit more. And then you were shown how to focus on everything. So you would plan out your year, races that you'd use for training, races that you would use to get into the top 5, and then races that you were focused on, you wanted to win. So I was in that mindset that everything was very definite. So when I became a therapist, it was a little bit of a shock to the system, because I was just hit with this wall of probably negativity, I felt, where people just weren't focused on their health. They were more focused on sickness, illness, and telling the story of how life was misery, where I just found it very difficult to deal with. So I came up with the idea that when people came to me, rather than talking about the weather or a television programme, I would get them to talk about what their goals were. I would ask them 2 questions, and the first question I'd ask them was, give me 3 advantages of being well, in being healthy. And they would struggle with it. It wasn't normal for them, and they might get 1 straight away, and then after that most people struggled coming up with a second and a third goal for being healthy. So it was brilliant when we got them to think it through and to talk about it. Then they started to realise, yeah, you're right, you know, I could go out walking, I could go swimming with the children, and they would start to come up with many different reasons for it and the advantages of being healthy. And it would just shift their mindset and make my life easier and job, and it would get better results for them, because their mind would be slightly shifted, and now they'd be more focused on why they should eat certain things, why they should come and get therapy done, because there was a goal at the end of it, a goal of improving their health in some shape or form, and that's what we worked on. The second thing I would ask them, and this would really blow their mind, and they would look at me as if I had 6 heads, I would say to them, okay, if you were healthy, would there be any disadvantage in being healthy? And they would look at me really confused. But after a period of time of giving them a little time to think about it, they'd be amazed at what they would come out with. They would say things like, well, I wouldn't get as much attention, because people stop me when I'm walking down the street and they ask me about my complaint, and they're very interested. And that would go away if I was well. I wouldn't get as much interest. Other people would say things like, well, I'd have to work. Where when someone is sick, everybody maybe makes an allowance for them, doesn't ask them to do certain things around the house or in work, or even have to go to work. So again, sometimes people have that advantage. And one of the biggest ones is that people will come out with things and say, I wouldn't be as loved as much. So they get confused. Rather than being loved for who they are, they think they're loved because they're ill in some way, that people give them more sort of care and time. I even had a woman one day, and she said to me, oh, if I got better, I'd have to mind the grandchildren more. So again, she didn't have it in her to stand up and say, no, look, I'm retired, I want some time for myself. So her illness, she could turn around and say, I'm not well today, I'm not taking the grandchildren. So again, there's a conflict all the time in the person's mind, because that person is not going to get fully better, because there's an advantage of not being well, rather than actually being able just to say, no, I want to be well, and I don't want to have the grandchildren every day of the week. So again, when people will come to that realisation, I would be very respectful to them, because they might decide, no, it's actually, I get so much attention, I'd rather be unwell. Or they might say, I didn't know I was doing that to myself. And they would usually laugh, and then you'd be able to bring them to focus on becoming well, but letting go the disadvantage, or the advantage I should say, of not being well. So it cut a lot of time out for me and for them, and it saved them a lot of money and me a lot of misery and not getting the results that I wanted to get with people. So again, what I realised also working with people was that I suppose there was no structure. You know, if people came in and they had a lot of content, stories about how painful, how misery life might be on them because they're not well enough, and if I got caught up in all that content, I was no good to them. I might as well just be in Coronation Street or some sort of programme, loads of misery and content. So I had to bypass that or cut through it and go beyond and look at the structure. Why was the person not well? And the most amazing thing is the way I was trained was that you were totally focused on the individual. So if you had a problem in your own life, or you were looking forward to going on holidays, whatever it might be, you left it outside the door. All of it. So when you came into the room, you presented yourself as just being focused on the individual, being in the now. And it's where you can see things that you'd normally miss if your mind is busy thinking about other things. You're not 100% focused on the individual. And even in the massage, it gave me a huge base to work from, to learn from, to train in other areas. But I always came back to that training that I got as a massage therapist. The great thing was when I had the ability to work into the muscle tissue, to work into their joints, it gave me huge amounts of feedback. So by working into the muscle tissue, I can see how much protein or lack of protein is in the muscle. I can see if the tendons are swollen. I can see why the tendons are swollen. Maybe it's calcification, maybe it's uric acid or some sort of toxin. And then I can gather the amount of toxins throughout the whole body. And with that information then, even lack of vitamin C, lack of vitamin B, the B vitamins, lack of hemoglobin, iron in the body, and I can gather all this information from working with the person, and it gives me a great insight and be able to do a program for them. How to set out over several weeks, we need to work together to achieve a certain goal. So it's an amazing training. But working with people is where I really learned the most from as a therapist, and how to adjust, you know, people's maybe diets, nutrition, take out, put in, to get the result that we require. So structure is the most important thing, and if we can find that structure, then we have not looking just at the symptoms, but we're actually able to go back to the origin, the where does this come from. And once I can do that, and I see that there's 7 different reasons maybe that person got unwell, here's the first step, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and right up to the 7th, then even if I just remove one of those steps, it's like getting a CD player and a nail and scraping across it. You've destroyed or disturbed that set of information. And it's the same in the body. If I can go back to the origin of it and take out even one part, I've suddenly changed it. And then everything else I can change. So we're looking at the structure and coming back to the very origin of it. And that's where the products are developed. The ingredients are put together as a structure, and that structure leads on to a certain goal, change in the person's system, physically and also mentally, the way it works. So from that, as I said, I was able to develop then my own type of therapy, where I brought many different therapies into one. So people might come along and I would do reflexology, I would do physical work with them, I would set out a plan, even how to think different, what to eat, how to achieve the goal. We'd even set out what are the goals to achieve that. So it made me then very efficient as a therapist, and it also meant that the person received the best treatment and the best goal that they could wish for. So it was very, very interesting. As I said, that pool of knowledge really comes more, not just from your courses, but from actually working with people. So this is how, again, the products were developed, or developed from, I suppose, working for 28 years with people, looking at what people need, looking at what works, what gets results, and pooling all that information together then to look at the products like Salustra, Purifica, Gracilia, and again, they're all goal orientated, and this is the foundation behind it. So I suppose, a privilege to be in that position, to be absorbed in it. To give you an idea, like for 7 years of my life, I worked from 10 in the morning till 10 at night. I might finish at 2 or 6 on a Saturday, felt like a half day. But I was just completely absorbed. I had no television at home. When I got home, all I wanted to do then was research about the people coming to me, to understand more, to be able to advise them, work with them. I learned so much, and they got the results that they desired. So again, with that pool of knowledge, it's where these products are actually being developed, and we'll keep on developing new products. With all the products, the great thing is I have the freedom and the support from the company to use the best of ingredients. So there's no shortcuts, there's no diluting anything. I'm allowed to pick the best form of ingredients. In the structure that I have is, I will pick out the ingredients, and then we have the support in the company to actually research, understand, and get the best ingredients down from the different companies around the world. Be able to blend them, put them together, and then present them as, I really 100% behind them as being the best products that we can produce. I really feel that they are the best products out there, but then I'm going to say that I'm biased. But no, I see the results, and that's what it convinces me is results.